Right, everyone, it is time indeed for China qualifying. Which is going to be interesting because, well, I say that. Is anyone actually going to beat the Mercedes here? Looks like George Russell really wants to gather as many points as possible before June, and Mercedes have to make a bit of a change to their engine. Got the sprint race results down the left-hand side. Kind of bit depressing at the bottom if you're a Williams or an Aston Martin fan or a Cadillac fan. And also Max Verstappen in P9. Welcome Gina Kim, welcome Eric, Chaya, Michael, Josh, Susie, Flatka as well. Russell, yeah, Russell just on a mad streak. My keyboard is not working. The Republic of Gamers. Maybe it's no longer a republic, maybe it's now a monarchy. Which is fine, but I need to resize something at some point. Okay, we'll work it out, but at the moment I have no idea how I am going to work it out. This here, we'll see. But yeah. Looked like a decent sprint race. I was kind of up anyway. I probably should have just streamed it. But I thought we'd stick to the plan. Which is we do qualifying today and we do the race tomorrow. Actual racing in the sprint qualifying. Hamilton and Russell. But yeah, Russell ending up on top. Morning Black Cat. Hope everyone's doing well. I hope everyone's looking forward to China. I mean, the sprint race is like a little snack, but the race tomorrow is the main one. So, yeah, Russell, Leclerc, Hamilton. So Leclerc beating out Hamilton. Looks like maybe Hamilton's tyres and everything a little bit cooked by all the aggressiveness he was having with Russell. Lando Norris. Does Norris deserve more credit for getting P4? Again, beating Piastri. Liam Lawson, P7. Behrman, P8. See different tyres now. Lawson P7 on the hard tyres, very interesting. Verstappen only P9, which is very disappointing. Ocon P10, Gasly P11, Sainz P12, Bortoleto slightly worrying there for Audi in P13, Colapinto P14, Hadjar all the way down in P15, terrible for the Red Bulls. Albon in P16, and then Alfonso and Stroll P17, 18. So, not looking good for the Aston Martins. But let me know your thoughts from the sprint race as well. Interestingly, George Russell's media person, the person that comes into all media entries, has a George Russell phone case. So I take it he's going big on the branding. It's almost like he wants to create generational wealth from this opportunity. Chai, I'm genuinely hoping for no unsafe situations. I've predicted that, unfortunately. I think there is going to be a Spa 98 incident at the start. I just think it's inevitable, unfortunately. Gina Lewis for the podium, although I do wish he got in P2. What are your thoughts for Hamilton McLaren? I haven't seen the full race, so a bit difficult for me to say. But it looks like Lewis has got his mojo back. He looks a lot more confident in the car. I don't think he'll mind really a point here or there in the sprint race, but I think it'll take just being more confident. Welcome Casey Simber as well. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Yeah, very global stream I expect. I can't do a nation check because my keyboard's not working. So yeah, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Welcome Hamada Huluk as well. Good to see you, Constil. You're not too bad. Yeah, the Ferrari starts as well, so they might have a little edge here, even if they don't qualify necessarily right at the front. Jatin says, when did it started? It will start probably in about 25 minutes, I'm guessing, if I started the stream on time. Michael was worried for a second when Norris was ahead of Hamilton after that pit stop. Welcome Martin Upton as well. Chai says, Kireth, I wonder whether this happened before. I've only watched F1's a child and got back in 2023. Drivers not starting, cars generally being bad. Going back to 2014, previous big engine change, I think there was a lot of stuff going wrong, if I remember. But also before that, it wasn't, going back like to 2003, 2000, it wasn't that uncommon for engines to blow up. Really wasn't uncommon at all. And also for drivers to have issues, but I think the quality of driver was more varied back then, I think it's fair to say. Let me update the old like thing. Bear with me. Get that all accurate for us. There we go. But yeah, Hamilton looks like he's got some fire, which is what we want to see. We want to see a fight between Lewis Hamilton at the front of the grid. And given I think the big news from the sprint race, the massive news that we didn't really know before, is that Verstappen, it looks like this season Verstappen is not going to be in the championship fight. It's so soon this has happened. The sprint race has only been a couple of hours ago that no one will have really talked about this. But the fact is, I would say, it seems very unlikely Verstappen's going to be in that title fight. Now, given that's the case, I wonder whether seeing Lewis up there would make it even more special. And it feels like the scene is being set for George Russell to be the championship leader. Like I've always said, I think he's going to pull rank on Antonelli. I think Antonelli's going to make more mistakes than Russell, which is kind of to be expected. I mean, even Piastri in his second season was making a lot of mistakes. But therefore, it's really going to be Lewis Charles and Lewis putting the pressure on George. And as I said in my video earlier on the did I not save that? My video earlier on the Formula Fan TV channel, I think that the events, well, the cancellation of the two races, it looks like, in April in the Middle East, could actually hurt Mercedes. Could hurt Mercedes. There we go, that light button's now accurate. At some point, I'm going to need to use my alt key, and I don't know what to do because my keyboard's not working. So I don't know how to use the alt key. Don't know if anyone has an idea. Sorry, I didn't scroll down the chat there. It wasn't auto-scrolled. Josh says Ferrari for constructors. Alan says sprint was crazy. Yeah, it looks like one of the better sprint races, which does bode well this season. Like, you know, again, the philosophy of changing the formula wasn't just to like get this electrification. It was also to make the racing better as well. And I said Hamilton versus Russell are going to be epic tomorrow. If we see it, I think the thing is if Hamilton and Russell both start in the front row, I think basically all of us expect Hamilton to get a better start because of the turbo. That turbo can work against Ferrari, by the way, because their turbo is smaller. That might hinder them at certain tracks, although I'd expect China to be one of those tracks, to be honest, with that massive straight. Marcus has agreed, going to be a tough season ahead for Max. Yeah, we might see Max throw toys out the pram. In a way, it might be similar to when Alfonso was in a terrible McLaren. So he just went off and started doing IndyCar. I think he was doing WEC maybe as well. Just, you know, he's like, well, there's nothing for me in Formula 1 this season, so I'm gonna go through the motions in Formula 1, and I'm gonna tick off some side quests. And I'll see what happens next season in F1. So maybe Verstappen is gonna be ticking off those side quests, including the Nürburgring 24 Hours, I think, in May. Chaya says, unless things change dramatically, Verstappen won't be able to keep up. He is capable of driving towards the front just like in previous years, but not sure if it'll be enough. Yeah. Yeah, I think with the car underneath him, it looks like it's just not going to happen this season. Would it be an option to replace cancelled races? I don't think it's an option. I think it's a complete failure of the management in Formula 1, by the way, because they should have identified this early, and there should be some clause in the contracts for these races whereby if there is war or attacks or whatever, you know, within some proximity to the track or just in the country, then there should be the right of Formula 1 to cancel without penalty of, I guess, because the tracks pay Formula 1, so that'll be the tracks which should take the risk. Given that those tracks are essentially kind of state funded, the tracks / the state should take the risk on that. Obviously, there'll be a lot of I don't know exactly where the ticket sales will go, hospitality, broadcast, a lot of messy stuff to sort out. So Formula 1 will need to dip into its pocket to make sure fans and teams aren't out of pocket. But if they'd done that early enough, they could have got in replacement races. I'm sure they could have gone to Imola or wherever. But they've left it too late, so it's a mess. They'll have to do Evo sessions. Are there more? Gina says, are there more sprints or just in China? There are more sprints throughout the season. There will be more sprints. I can't tell you exactly when they are because I can't remember. But there will be more sprints, as Adam says. Simba, I also think Verstappen is heading for Hamilton like painful years without a win. We'll be watching him in GT3 there. Yeah, maybe he'll just become a full-time GT3 driver. But it looks like it could be a tough time. And also, what does Red Bull look like without Verstappen kind of like fully engaged? And, you know, when Verstappen's fully engaged, they can put all the eggs in the Verstappen basket. But now I'm not sure. I'm going to switch over my standings here. Just bear with me. I have a problem with this map, though, because the map is cropped at the bottom, and I need to use the enter key. And I don't have the enter key available. Oh, you know what? This is insane. I can manually select the pixels. Ah, no, I can't type, but there are arrows. Look at this. This is Sometimes my genius surprises even me. Look at that. Don't worry about the little sub box. We can deal with that on the mouse. That's cool. That's no problem. Okay, but yeah, my Republica Gamers keyboard. Any keyboard sponsors? We should reach out. There should be a keyboard sponsor for the stream. There should be a sponsor for the stream probably. I need an agent. Price has been playing Le Mans Ultimate Single Player. I can feel confident I won't. Oh, very nice. Glad you enjoyed it. I think Casey Simba might be on Le Mans Ultimate, so feel free to put any comments in there. I'm just trying to catch up with chat as well. Welcome Martin as well. KDB in Russia, they cancelled in short notice with a refund. Rat, when F1 goes to Suzuka, are you interested to see how the new F1 cars tyres handle? I'm not. I don't think anything will be particularly different at Suzuka. I'm excited to go for Suzuka. It's another weird one on timing, isn't it? I don't know what the race start is at Suzuka, but we will see. Chai says, I saw you mention ticket sales still going in your post. Yeah, I went on the website and you can still buy tickets. So until they formally cancel it, you can still buy tickets. And presumably you have to refund all the tickets. Footy didn't... I imagine it's very complicated behind... Oh gosh. I imagine it's very complicated behind the scenes. Ooh. Without my keyboard here. kink head padding material must be used. Yeah, what I was going to say is I think they have to work it out with the teams, because the teams run budgets, etc. You know, sometimes fairly tight budgets. So how they're going to do that, I'm not sure. Let me try and work this out. Martin, always loved Canada GP. Remember PK's last visit? Yeah, we'll be good to go back to Montreal. We'll be good to go back to Montreal. No one on track yet because we're still... Where are we? We're still 12 minutes away from the start of qualifying, actually. I wouldn't say having fun, but I'm just trying to work out here. Okay, I've worked it out. Again, I don't want to say I'm a genius, but I've been doing this long enough. Ah, yes, perfect. Yeah, apparently, so I've been speaking to people including you working at circuits, people who know people working at circuits. Apparently Bahrain is definitely off. But Saudi, I reckon there's a battle in Saudi, because if the Saudi Grand Prix gets cancelled, it's very, for lack of a better word, embarrassing for Saudi Arabia. And I've noticed sometimes when I post things about Saudi races, like, oh, the race wasn't very good, or this track layout's not very good, I've noticed there's a lot of astroturfing. Like, there's money being spent on bots or accounts or something to be like, no, everything's fine. So there's budgets there, and the budgets are protecting something. I think they're protecting like the reputation of Saudi as like a safe destination for sport, etc. So Formula 1 cancels. It's a massive high-profile cancellation. The reason why I think they'll cancel is because of the freight and the shipping. One of the main reasons they'll be cancelling Bahrain is that just the freight and everything is going to be an issue. And if they cancel the freight for Bahrain, then they're not going to... It's the same issue for Saudi. Like, irrespective of if Saudi say they can guarantee the safety of the circuit. Also, I don't think Saudi can guarantee the safety of the circuit. Try embarrassing or not safety first. Unfortunately, I think you are thinking a bit too black and white for how the world works, I would say. I'm certain the Saudis will have been saying, look, this is going to be fine, everything's fine, not a problem. We'll guarantee your safety, no one's going to get hurt. But what I've been saying is that Formula 1 doesn't need to take that risk. Formula 1 shouldn't be in a position that it needs Saudi Arabia. And this is exposing a issue for Formula 1, that as you race around the world, you're going to race in a spectrum of countries, and some countries are going to be in, let's just say, more unstable regions than others. And what we think is unstable could change, by the way. There could be regions that we think are stable now that become unstable. What I'm saying is that Formula 1 races everywhere, so on average you're going to have some countries that at that time are in more unstable places than others. It needs to have contingency plans. It should have a contingency plan. You know, Formula 1 is at the stage, really, where it should probably own a circuit somewhere with grandstands, you know, next to a major airport so stuff can be freighted in. And if there's a cancellation, they go there. To me, that seems like a... You know, Formula 1 set up their headquarters in Las Vegas, which is kind of daft, because Las Vegas isn't a permanent track, to be honest. You know, if Las Vegas had, you know, sorry, if Formula 1 were to set up at Catalonia somewhere, or to acquire a circuit, then stuff like this wouldn't be a problem. But because they don't have a circuit, there's, you know, it's a pain for them, and that's why this decision has taken so long. KB, they can't fly in any way, the airspace is closed. That's the thing. Saudi, I'm sure Saudi would say, we'll escort you guys in. We'll escort all the planes in. Like the F1 going to Saudi is of national importance to Saudi, I think. And I actually predict that if and when F1 does cancel the Saudi race, I predict there'll be a lot of backlash against F1, where people say F1's weak. Now, depending on where you are in the world, that might seem like utterly bizarre because it should be safety first. But I predict there'll be backlash. I predict there'll be backlash, and the backlash will be like, this is weak from Formula One. This lets, you know, this lets the bad people win or whatever. So that's what I predict. But let me know your thoughts in the comments on it, because it's all happening like in real time, basically. KDB, they should go back to Paul Ricard. Actually, to be fair, I really hope they don't go to Paul Ricard. It's a terrible circuit. But yeah, I think doesn't Bernie still own Paul Ricard? Martin, logistic is no go to Bahrain or Saudi Arabia. Chai says Dutch life lost spark of hope for Verstappen as teams were adjusting car after sprint race. Could be some copium. Could be some copium. But let's see. Console, I hate to mention politics, but don't forget F1 is owned by Liberty Media and they'd be afraid of upsetting Trump. Yeah, the thing is, I don't know where the wind really blows on that at the moment. Like, who is it advantageous for F1 to be cancelled? It cuts quite a few different ways. But I think, as has been said in the chat, the overriding thing should, in my opinion, should be safety. That's not even necessarily just safety of fans or teams. I think it's like not using resources, etc. Lucas saying Kimi pole. You going Kimi pole? I mean, it could happen. It could happen. I'm going to say George pole. I've almost died. Maybe that's karma. Welcome, Doug. Good to see you. Yeah, morning stream here. It's actually not that bad. For some reason, I thought it was going to be 5 AM race, a qualifying start. How about I said there's zero chance Bahrain and Saudi don't get cancelled? Zero chance they don't get cancelled. Zero chance they don't get... Well, we'll see. I think, you know, the fact it's taken so long... If it was me, I would have cancelled Bahrain as soon as everything kicked off. I would have cancelled Bahrain there and then, and there'd already be a contingency race. If I ran F1, I can tell you right now, I'd say I'm not putting anyone at risk. You know, fingers crossed we'll be back at Bahrain in the future, but not next month. I'm cancelling this. I'd make sure in the contracts that the states... You know, if the states are basically funding these races, they take the risk on that. I think it reflects badly on the organisation of F1 that decision hasn't been made yet. So yeah, in continental Europe, this is quite a nice start actually. It's Japan's worse though, isn't it? Japan another couple of time zones over. Hamad, even if the events end tomorrow, no way they can allow it due to safety concerns. No one. Well, I mean, they did race in Jeddah a couple of years ago, if you remember. They did race in Jeddah. The drivers didn't want to, but they were forced to race. And by the way, that shows that this kind of stuff can happen and tracks can become targets. But that would mean that they should also arrange accommodation for 1,000 people on short notice. Easy done for people who are travelling only because of the race, but if you live close by. You mean if... you mean because they're cancelling late? If you're saying it's because they're cancelling late, there's going to be a mess, and there are going to be fans out of pocket, and you might get refunded your ticket, but you probably won't get refunded. Your flight's a different matter. But your hotels, etc., especially say in Saudi, where the Saudis might say everything's fine. You know, we're not going to give refunds on hotels because the hotel's fine. What about F1 going back to Nürburgring GP circuit or Hockenheim? I'd love to see them go to Hockenheim full stop. I don't fully understand why there isn't more of a push to have a German Grand Prix on the calendar. Seems bizarre to me, especially with Mercedes. Gina, probably not happening. We're hoping Lewis Park. It could happen. It could happen. And it's about to start very soon, actually. Qualifying is about to start imminently. Martin, remember the lorry strike and Andrea Moda-Tema not turning up at Paul Ricard? I don't remember that. But there we go. It's maybe a bit analogous. Charlie Chrome Tyres, CTC 3, C4. Console, I agree with Kireth. The F1 management left it far too late to cancel. They had time to move it, and they should have contractual clauses for water station transport. Yeah, I mean that's just how I operate this channel. If there was to be war in the streets of London, I probably wouldn't do this stream. Or would I? I don't know. No, I don't think I would. No replacement, 100 no replacement, logistically impossible. Insurance, transport, tickets, etc. Well, it's going to be very embarrassing for F1 then, how they get in a situation where they allow this to happen. By the way, we are going to start imminently. Please, can someone put a nations check in the comments? If you do exclamation mark nations, and we'll do a nation check. I can't write it because my keyboard's not working. Would be good if every driver on the grid had a home race. Can you do the maths on how many we would need then? How many races would we need for everyone to have a home race? And would we have a circuit for everyone? Which would be the most interesting circuit? There's quite a few British drivers. It's funny, we're in another like potential British domination era of Formula 1. Russell, Norris, Behrman, Lindblad. Here we go. China, Netherlands, Susie, UK, Continental UK, Martin, Netherlands, Michael, Australia. Blacker, Croatia. So Bottas out on circuit first. Yeah, let us know where in the world you're watching from, everyone. Where in Argentina? Oh, yeah, that's what I was thinking. I don't know where you would go in Argentina. I don't know the Argentinian tracks. I know there is an Argentinian sim racing game that I've been covering, but I don't know the tracks. Thunderbolt 3M in the US. That's commitment right there. Rap USA V5 UK. Come on, let us know where in the world you're watching from today. Because, yes, the more west you are, the worse the time zone, I would say. But that will pay dividends later in the season, when it's Miami, when it's Vegas, when it's Circuit of the Americas. Then you're going to be absolutely fine. KDB's watching from Stuttgart. Is Stuttgart also Audi, or is it just Porsche? Gina, it's 2 AM in Texas. There we go. That's real commitment right there. Let's hope it's going to be an exciting qualifying. We're in the first part of qualifying now. So 18 minutes. And the bottom 6, it's the bottom 6 now that go out. And I would fully expect, well, I say fully expect, I would not be surprised if that bottom 6 is the 2 Cadillacs, the 2 Astons and 2 Williams. I would say that's the default position. But let's see what happens. Can the Astons get out? I mean, they did finish the sprint race. Carl says also in Texas. Martin Jr. is a true soldier. That's commitment. But yeah, cars are on track here in China. Welcome, Mr. Sebastian. What happens in June? In June, I think as I talked about in my video earlier today, the testing for the engine compression ratio will be done at 130 degrees, not ambient. Now, rumours are saying that Mercedes have already done a test very close to that and they're fine. Not 130, but I think 115. But let's see. It could just... This could all be copium, and actually Mercedes have just got an absolutely ridiculously dominant car. Welcome, New Gen VR Club. Welcome. Where is your rig, by the way? Has the rig arrived yet? Into Romania, if I remember. Fun circuit in China. Maybe we will go with Formula E this season. We'll see 2 races in China. Next weekend I'm going to be in Madrid, which doesn't clash, right? It doesn't clash with Formula 1. And the weekend after, I'm going to be at DreamHack in Birmingham, which is a big gaming conference. I'm actually going with a brand that I just can't give it away yet, but that shouldn't cut across actually doing the streams, because if it's Japan, it will be weird all hours and I'll be in my hotel. Anan says time not showing. Overall time. It should be on the top of your screen, my friend. Should be on the top of your screen, unless you're zoomed in. God, God, admit it, those Ferraris are fast. Just half more laps and Charles would have had Russell. Well, let's see what happens here in qualifying. Sergio Perez, the only driver still in the pits at the moment. Colapinto has set a lap time of 1:35. Bottas over the line as well. And there goes Alex Albon. Not a representative lap from Albon. What about Sainz? No, not for Sainz either. They're doing some interesting stuff. Norris and Piastri. So maybe drivers sort of warming up the tyres or getting the battery state of charge actually there, it seems. Like a related time difference. I think this is my favourite race. 8 AM is a better way to start a weekend. Yeah, no. To be fair, in the past, I have enjoyed these races because I go and get a Wetherspoons English breakfast afterwards. It's a great start to the day. The problem is for this race is that I stayed up really late, so I actually only slept for 2 hours. I slept between 3 AM and 5 AM, so I think I slept entirely due to the sprint. The only 2 hours I slept were during the sprint race. So I've timed this horrendously. I've done proper Ferrari strategy, but I'm buzzing. It's great to hang out with you guys and see qualifying, and I'll catch up with the laps in a bit as we get some more representative ones in there. Just after midnight in Seattle. Never been to Seattle. Need to make a visit. I was going to be in San Francisco actually for GDC. How much does remove Monaco? I wouldn't remove Monaco. I actually quite like Monaco. Removing Monaco. Monaco is basically just like the Goodwood Festival of Speed, but in France. That's what it is. It's an opportunity to go down there and see the cars, get some nice photos. And there's like the equivalent of the hill climb is qualifying. And then it's just a bit of a procession. Oh, Piastri was struggling with the car. Okay, but I say that. Piastri set a 33.9. Fastest so far. Norris half a second off that at 34.4. Meanwhile, Hulkenberg at 34.1 at the moment. Char, I was keeping on whether you stream or not, but I saw nothing pop up. BF had to go into work. Mechanic factory 5:30. Yeah, I just thought we'd stick to the plan. Because I want to be really fresh for the race tomorrow, and I don't want to destroy. I don't want to like. Anyway, I want to keep the structure. This is what we said we'd do last weekend, and we're sticking to it. Ever thought about going to the Indy 500? I'd love. I was meant to go to the NASCAR finals last year, but it clashed with the birth of my child, so it was a tough call. But in the end, we dropped the NASCAR. Both Audis up there at the moment. Not entirely sure that's representative yet. And interestingly, Piastri looked like he set that on scrub softs. Meanwhile, what was Lewis Hamilton up to? Oh, Lewis Hamilton had a huge moment. Lewis Hamilton's really pushing. And you can see, I think that lap may have invalidated his time, or he just had to completely abort. And Hamilton's all the way down in P15 again. The Ferraris, or at least Hamilton, was trying something on the medium tyre there. Looks like Leclerc is on the soft tyre. Yeah, I think it's like this. We know we've done so many of these seasons. We know they're marathons, not sprint, right? And we've got to conserve the energy. Like, there's many people who have tried to do watch-alongs. I've seen who've started and have ended in all the time that I've been going. I've seen big brands try and push stuff. I've seen lots of money being spent on studios, etc. And they haven't lasted. And yet here we are in our cave with a box of scraps. We're still here. We're still doing it. Hamilton, it feels good. The car just had some snaps, particularly in the braking. I think Hamilton's trying to be really positive about the car. I think he feels like he has a base he can work with. What's the funnest circuit to watch in person? I would actually say Monaco. And the funnest on TV, I don't know. Funnest is not actually a word, but on TV, maybe Spa. Maybe Spa. Right, 9 minutes to go. And where are the Mercedes? Well, we're about to see because they're actually on flying laps right now. So Antonelli and Russell are on flying laps. And now we'll get something truly representative. It's 24.2 first sector for Russell. So about a little bit less than a tenth quicker than Antonelli. But both Mercedes are on it. Can't afford to make a mistake here, though. Can't afford to make a mistake. So let's see, 28 dead for Antonelli in the middle sector, and that time he was a little bit faster than George Russell. So probably fairly even actually on the laps overall. Not too much in it. You can see that they are both a tenth and a bit quicker in the middle sector than the Audi or Bortoletto. So Antonelli goes through the last corner, will go over the line. What are we going to see from Antonelli? A 33.3. So goes fastest. That's 6 tenths quicker than Piastri. Now what about George Russell? Will George Russell go faster than Antonelli? Let's see. This is just for Q1. Yes, he does. 33.2. So very close in between them as we thought. And I'm just trying to work out some gaps here. So it's basically Bortoletto in 5th is already more than a second slower. So Jim Ratcliffe is in the Mercedes garage. So not hopefully, presumably Mercedes are all going to go downhill now. If his management of the team is anything like Manchester United's. Gordon, if Ferrari get a front start, they've gone. Only thing stopping them are the strategies. Well, let's see. Strategy could be really important here. I agree. And also, China's a massive market for Ferrari. Like they really want to impress here. They really want to make a breakthrough. Well, let's see what. I'll tell you what. Let's just see what happens with Jeddah and Bahrain, because you know they'll have to make a decision either way this weekend. Fernando Alonso is really resting that car, really struggling. He's P17 at the moment, so he's not even out of the drop zone. Welcome Janus as well. Then Red Bulls are in the top positions. Well, no, that's actually the Mercedes, my friend. By the way, I need to get the cable for this wheel. I need to get a Lumberg cable because I lost. Well, I don't know where my Lumberg cable is. KDB Audi a fan base in China because Zhou was in Kickstau, but yeah, he had the presentation if we remember. Okay, so at the moment the drop, I predicted this drop zone, if anyone remembers. I said it would probably be Cadillacs, Audis and Williams. That's what we have at the moment. Is there going to be any shake up to that? I would say, and Hamilton P3 Lord, yeah, it's happening. So Hamilton did get that clean lap in, 33.5, 3 tenths off the Mercedes. But Hamilton gave an interview earlier today where he said that he knows that the Mercedes have a button on their wheel. I don't know if anyone knows which button it is, but they have a button on their wheel that they use from Q2. That's basically a party mode. And Ferrari don't have that. So let's see what happens in Q2 onwards. Michael said, let's go Hammy. Yeah, remember, all we need to do here is get through into Q2. So let's keep an eye on Charles Leclerc. Because Leclerc at the moment... But I just feel here like the Williams, the Astons and the Cadillacs are really going to struggle. That's my hunch. Got to be careful. You're talking to an esteemed moderator here. I suspect your comment is going to... Well, let's see what happens with your comment. Got the best mods in the game here. There we go. You don't mess with the mods in this stream. You don't mess with the mods in this stream. We've got the best mods in the game. Gina, yeah, how much of that? And there goes Leclerc. Wow, Leclerc P1. Leclerc provisionally fastest with a 33.1. I was not expecting to see that. Welcome, Kip. Good to see you. Got some good news, by the way, on the car front, the real world livery front. So I'll share that in the Discord. Yeah, 43 months. Can we get some claps out in chat? I can't. Actually, I can because I can use the mouse. Can we get some claps out in chat, please, for Kip? A member for 43 months and doing so much of the livery work as well. When we get our F1 team entry in, KCR Kip will be doing livery. So please do give those claps in there. Yeah, I was not expecting Charles Leclerc to go fastest there. 4 minutes to go. Kip saying morning, just checking in before work. Hope you have a good day today on a Saturday. Go on, I was wondering, didn't BMW build an F1 engine? They did for Williams, but a long time ago. There we go. Look at the claps coming in. Great to see. What a community we have here, and what a lap by Charles Leclerc. So he's gone faster than the Mercedes, but maybe the Mercedes were taking it easy. And like I said, let's see what happens in Q2 and obviously Q3. Then you got a little bit of an order forming with the McLarens after, but I want to draw your attention to the drop zone because the slowest six cars, so 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, 21, 22, are going to get knocked out of Q1, which is going to end in a little bit over 3 minutes' time. At the moment, Arvin Lindblad is the cutoff car on a 1:35 dead. Now the problem for the cars below is that after that, it's Verstappen. So firstly, oh my goodness, how bad are the Red Bulls doing here? And are we going to see Verstappen throw toys out the pram? Because the Red Bulls are having a terrible time. Welcome, Nick Tube. Dutch live blog mentioned Hamilton being the king of poles when it comes to this GP. He's the king of poles generally. Look how many pole positions Hamilton's got. Hamilton's got more race wins than most drivers have starts. Welcome, Axiom Prime. Good to see you. But yeah, it's just embarrassing for Red Bull here. And the GP on the pit wall shaking his head. It's got to be the Ford EcoBoost engine. The Red Bull were doing great before Ford got involved. I'm never buying a Ford now, ever. But yeah, so presumably if Lindblad can improve a little bit, then it means that the cars in the drop zone need to improve massively to get out. So I just don't think it's going to happen. I think this Q1 is done and dusted. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think anyone in that bottom 6 is going to get out. If anyone can do it, it will be the Williams. Let's see. Alex Albon does set a personal best Sector 1. So Albon is on the move somewhat. Then they were dropping... Yeah, I'm never going to use Oracle. Oracle is no longer my SaaS provider of choice. I'm changing all of my SaaS. Action Red Bull would be worse. It's up with Honda. Yeah, to be fair, that would be the worst combination, wouldn't it? If you wanted to, like, choose what would be the ultimate worst one. But I think the other drivers, yeah, nothing to do here. I don't think we'll see the top drivers come out. In fact, yeah, they're not coming out. Because the bottom 6 so far drift. And it's a bit interesting, actually. Given the way that Q1 works, if we end up with the bottom 6 are really adrift, maybe it changes the whole complexity of Q1, and maybe it would make Q1 a little bit less interesting to watch. Well, this Ford makes a great truck. I think the F-150, well, at the moment, the Red Bull is handling like an F-150. As Albon does go ahead of Lindblad for the moment. So let's keep an eye on Lindblad. Lindblad's Sector 1 is very similar to Albon. Doesn't look like Albon had a particularly great Sector 2. So what's Lindblad going to do Sector 2 versus Albon? Let's see. Also keep an eye on Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz is going faster, by the way, than Albon. And Carlos Sainz is probably neck and neck with Lindblad. So Lindblad really needs to get this one done. It looks decent so far. There goes Verstappen, by the way, up to P4. So Verstappen does actually... He's turned the EcoBoost on. He does get up to P4 there. which is great to see if you're a Red Bull fan. Now there goes Sainz. Sainz goes well up to P14, so it looks like maybe that is going to be good enough to get him into Q2 actually. Lindblad is going to go over the line. Gasly, will Gasly do anything? No. Let's keep an eye on Lindblad. Lindblad surely will move out of the drop zone. Yeah, it goes up to P11. That pushes Colapinto down into the drop zone. And Alex Albon is definitely out, by the way. So Albon's out. But Carlos Sainz might have done enough, which is quite interesting. We'll have to keep an eye on Colapinto. He's going to go over the line now. Will Colapinto knock out Bortoleto? And yeah, he does do. Colapinto goes well up there. So Bortoleto will now try and knock out Sainz. And there we go. There we have it. As I predicted, your bottom 6 is the 2 Williams, the 2 Astons, and the 2 Cadillacs. I think that's very interesting for Q1s going forward this season, because it might mean that you know, other cars don't need to use soft tyres, they can use scrub tyres. It might just even consolidate that advantage throughout the race, because those bottom 6 look absolutely adrift, I have to say. Hamilton had a lap time deleted, interestingly, but it's not going to affect him. Actually, Aston Martin just doing testing. Yeah, Aston Martin would love to, I think, to participate in Q2, just to get more miles on the belt. I wonder what would happen if Aston Martin just completely wrote off this Grand Prix, and therefore they actually just went out in Q2, and they just used the green flag in Q2 to get like half a free practice session, and they'd be disqualified, but they'd be like, yeah, whatever, we don't care about this race. Could that be like a 4D chess option from Adrian Newey? But yeah, let me know what you think of that observation, chat. The bottom 6. Looks like the bottom 6 are very much adrift in my view. Sainz, Albon, Alfonso, Bottas, Stroll, Perez. When you look at Perez again, he is almost 4 seconds off Charles Leclerc, as I've been saying. But he's a long way. He's a second and a half off Bottas, which is quite weird. But that Cadillac looks absolutely pants. At some point, Formula 1's going to need to talk about it. Or the Formula 1 media are going to need to talk about it. The problem is, I suspect the Formula 1 media have got a lot of stuff queued up to promote Cadillac. And they can't have 2 narratives running at the same time, I guess. Thanks, Black in Light Pun. Yeah, please do smash a like. We've done so well on the likes recently. The last race stream, I think we did really well on the likes. So please do absolutely destroy that like. Would be fantastic. If you're watching and you've got a like to give, hit it right now. Thanks, New Gen, as well. Chaya, has Aston Martin anything to lose if they use it as a practice? Well, I think they'll be black flagged. So it depends whether they get a grid drop for future races. But if they desperately need the track time, the track is going to be open shortly. They're not invited to it, but it just so happens they have a car in the garage ready to go. That's the way I look at it. Golden, when Hamilton retires, Ferrari need to get Sainz back. I wonder if Sainz will be keeping an eye on how Audi are doing, because again, one of the most interesting positions on the standing boards, everyone, for me, is Bortoleto. Look at where Bortoleto is in Audi. And Bortoleto's having, well, his season's barely underway, but he's having a great season. K Wallace says you want Lewis to retire. Why is that? Question fired across. Fired over there. Golden, can you defend yourself? Access Hamilton probably set Ferrari for another year. You saying 27 as well? Well, if it goes well, then why not? Great asset for Ferrari, and if Hamilton's happy with the car, both sides are happy. So that's Q1 done. Bottom 6 cars will be eliminated, like it's some sort of Mr. Beast video. And then we're going to go into Q2, where we are going to, again, lose the bottom 6 drivers and be left with the top 10, if my maths is correct. My maths might be wrong. It might be 5 drivers. Dented, it looks like Verstappen pushing to the limit of the car at the last qualifying lap. Yeah, Verstappen going full Scarface there and getting that provisional P4 in Q1. But let's see what happens in Q2, because as it stands here, oh, Hadjar also making it through. So the Red Bull's leaving it late. I say moving it through, like, you know, in the top 10. Let's see if Hülkenberg is going to get out qualified by Bottas again. Hamilton's at least doing way better compared to last year. And Sainz saying that was a good lap. It was a good lap, Carlos. That's all the car had in it. So basically, everyone at Williams is throwing the car under the bus. They want to keep Carlos Sainz happy, dare I say. They're appeasing Carlos Sainz. Excellent. If he exits Ferrari, he should probably retire. Maybe he'd love to go to Williams or somewhere. I don't know. Josh says Ferrari for sure will want to keep Hamilton for money, but we will see. He's close to 40. He may want to explore other things. He seems to be loving it right now, though. Chai saying, I feel like this is the Hamilton we're used to seeing again. Yeah. Hamilton's mojo seems to be back. Morning, McGurkin. Good to see you. There we go. The bottom 6 drivers have been killed off. And we're now getting ready to commence Q2, where we're going to have both Audi. So Audi, of the inverted commas new team, because they're not fully new, are doing much, much better than Cadillac here. Much better than Cadillac. And Audi got their own engine. We say Audi's not really a new team, but they do have their own engine, and Cadillac don't have their own engine. Cadillac got an engine off the shelf. So I think it's impressive what Audi have done versus Cadillac. Zen says it could be interesting qualifying. Who do you think is going to get knocked out here? Who's the big name that gets knocked out? It does happen at China. Obviously, if that bottom 6 were to say the same, then I think that would be the least. Well, we'll see. That Colapinto's one might be up for grabs. Let's see what Hülkenberg's going to do. Audi do that. Audi do their own engine. Josh says the real question is how long Verstappen chooses to stay if Red Bull don't do well and he continues to dislike these regs. He might just go off to Mercedes in a GT3. Fingers crossed we'll be going to the Nürburgring this year. Obviously, we know a few people there. I was at the Autosport Awards with Jimmy, Steve, Misha. We do a lot of stuff with Fanatec. We've entered that car now. So it would be good to go over to the Nürburgring and take you guys there behind the scenes. So please, by the way, if you ever see one of my videos, just pop in there, leave a like, hype it. It's like a feature on YouTube, you can hype it, leave a comment, and duck out of there if you've got other stuff to be doing. But do please support the videos like that, especially on the Motorsport channel, Formula Fan TV. Welcome Kingdom and Matt Simmons and Neum to the membership, or to the subscription I should say, not the membership. New Gens in the membership. Hopefully doing some cool stuff with the membership as well soon. Maybe starting in Madrid. Okay, so cars out on track. Tracks out on cars. Let's see what the Red Bulls can do. Could be the case that the Red Bulls don't make it through here. So looks like Bortoleto was told to go to Parc Ferme. Don't know what that means in this context. Should be driving straight out. And interestingly, it looks like the Mercedes are going to be the first cars to set a lap. So maybe Mercedes want to set a lap here, see how far off everyone else is, and then decide whether they even come out again, potentially. Could be the case. Anthony steams off. We'll have a bit of traffic to deal with. Josh, I think he loves GT3, but I find it so funny that he likes the Mercedes and Ferrari endurance cars. Yeah, although when you think about it, it's no different to Red Bull, because Red Bull are not Red Bull don't make road cars. GT3s are basically kind of exist to sell road cars, which is interesting because Formula 1 back in the day also maybe existed to sell road cars. All a bit confusing, isn't it? Michael Iwushi spotted the McLaren had this weird second bar above the front wing end plates in front of the tyres. I have to keep an eye out for it. You can see that the first sector times have come in, and it's Russell Again, he's a little bit quicker than Antonelli, but again, Antonelli just a tiny bit quicker than Russell in the second sector. I wonder why that is, and I wonder if it's due to setup. The third sector and the first sector are have very different characteristics. Okay, so we're going to see Antonelli go over the line. Let's see what happens here. He sets the marker 132.9. So maybe that is the party mode. Going to be Russell, who have had some slipstream down the back straight. And yeah, massively quicker in the third sector. I wonder if Russell got a much better slipstream down that long straight, because he was a massive 4 tenths quicker, 3.5 tenths quicker in that last sector alone. Here goes Charles Leclerc at 132.9. So does split the Mercedes. I wonder if Anthony actually made a mistake at the hairpin at the end, at turn 14. Meanwhile, Hamilton 132.8. So Hamilton goes a little bit faster than Leclerc. Anthony must have made a mistake. And if this is going to be the story of the season, this is how Russell is going to consolidate points. Russell's going to keep consolidating his points every time that Anthony makes a mistake here. Actually, it's going to be a near summer break kind of development period. Yeah, we'll try and cover it. Unless Formula 1 go full Formula E and put influence in the cars at Jeddah. Well, actually, they can't do Jeddah. Maybe they fly influencers out to Jeddah, and it's like again like a Mr. Beast thing. There's even more danger. It's like this is how Formula 1 outdo Formula E. It's like what Formula E did, but now it's more dangerous. Welcome, Rue Van Loon. Good to see you. Good to see the Van Loon representation in the chat. Josh says that Antonio Tinter incredible wheel-to-wheel racing during the sprint. I think he will come into his own really well as the season progresses. Yeah, I think it'll be a great season of development for Antonelli, but I just think George is actually many steps ahead of Antonelli, and so he's established himself as a lead driver. What's interesting with Piastri and Norris, even though Norris is more experienced than Piastri, I felt like that was kind of equalised last season. It was kind of equalised. So Russell dives into the pits, so does Leclerc. Antonelli will do the same, and Hamilton. Meanwhile, we'll see what Bortoleto does. Will he go faster than Nico Hülkenberg? Bortoleto does not. 133.9. Who else is on a fast lap now? It's Gasly, Colapinto, Lindblad, I think, as well. Lindblad, yes. 133.7, but that doesn't get him into the top 10. And are the McLarens going to box here? You would expect them to. Yes, they are indeed. Gasly's going to get a very nice slipstream from Hülkenberg down the back straight. Maybe we'll try and use that to knock out Nico Hülkenberg. Action, how can McLaren be slower than Mercedes? Well, they're a customer team. This is what McLaren's been worried about for years. It's been the McLaren doctrine. They don't want to be a customer team. The irony is that they won the Constructors' Championship as a constructors team. So Gasly goes over the line and, yes, does go fast Nico Hülkenberg. Maybe partly with that slipstream on the back straight. Meanwhile, Liam Lawson potentially getting a faint double slipstream from the Hasses ahead of him. Let's see. Colapinto was 13th, by the way. So Lawson will need to deal with... No, the Hasses come in. Oh, one of the Hasses... No, they should both come in, yep. And then Liam Lawson goes P14 in the end. So our drop zone at the moment is both Audis, both Racing Bulls, and then one Haas and one Alpine. Why is that? Because Oliver Behrman is all the way up in P6. So the Behrmeister's in P6. And Gasly again may be showing his class over Colapinto. Yeah, let me know what you're seeing as well in the chat. Let me know anything else that you're observing. Interested to see. So the gap between... To be fair, the gap between Russell and the drop zone is less than a second. Action, does the 2026 regs make it difficult for McLaren to use their tyre tricks? Well, it's all changed, really. It's all changed. So I think whatever was going through, that's, oh yeah, flash back from the past there. There'll be plenty more tricks going on this season. Looks like Ferrari up to some stuff. Looks like someone mentioned in chat that actually McLaren have done something on their front wing. The front wings are already looking like... I was down at McLaren fairly recently and looking at all of their cars, and particularly like the 2005, 6, 7, 8 era cars, where the aero was just ridiculous. Like comparing them with like the 98, 99 cars, the aero on McLaren was like utterly ridiculous. And I wonder if we're going to go back to another, albeit within cost cap, we're going to go back to another era like that. Looking at the developments McLaren are already doing on the front wing. Chai says, Verstappen seems to be improving compared to sprint quali. He's learning, he's adapting. So both McLarens are out, both Mercedes are out. Sorry, both Ferraris are out. I'd assume both Mercedes will come out, but we will see. Akash says, how many drivers get limited? Yeah, it's 6 again here, so the top 10 make it through. I have to say the... Firstly, the Mercedes looks good, and secondly, I think they've changed their paint on their intake fans. Because if you remember in Melbourne with Anthony's crazy Saturday, they let Anthony out the pits with an intake fan, and I was pretty shocked they didn't get a penalty for that, by the way. That intake fan colour, the lip of it, was the Petronas like turquoise or whatever, I think. Now, the tips of them are fluorescent yellow. You cannot miss them. So that's a very quick change that Mercedes have made by repainting the intake fans. So Piastri starting his lap, also Charles Leclerc, also Hamilton, also Lando Norris. They will all get... Oh, I was going to say they all get clean laps. Well, Hamilton won't. Hamilton's got traffic, and Lando will have traffic as well, but Leclerc and Piastri will have completely clean laps here, albeit no slipstream. Michael Ferrari claimed they were building a basic car before choosing a development direction. I wonder how much they can gain from improvements. You'd imagine at this stage of the reg cycle there's big gains to be made. Massive, huge gains with the Z at the end of it. So Piastri worryingly close to the drop zone here, and 2 tenths off Leclerc in sector 1. What an adjustment this is going to be for McLaren and the McLaren drivers, by the way. A big old adjustment. Let's see what Piastri's going to do over the line, as everyone else really is flooding out of the pits, albeit Behrman and Gasly. Colapinto, Lawson are going to be leaving it late. So Piastri goes over line. Does he improve? Yeah, 133.1. Is that going to be enough? I'm not sure. I'm not convinced that's going to be enough, given Hulkenberg's on 133.3. He's only 2 tenths off. Charles Leclerc goes fastest, by the way, 132.4. Let's see what Hamilton does. We could be looking at a Ferrari pole here, potentially. Hamilton doesn't improve. So no improvement for Hamilton, but Charles Leclerc goes fastest in this middle part of qualifying. Meanwhile, Lando Norris goes P5, just ahead of Oscar Piastri. I'm not sure Piastri is going to be safe. Antonelli starts his lap now. Russell will start his lap also. Hadjar will start a lap. Verstappen will start a lap. Bortoleto starting. So we're going to see a lot of drivers starting their laps now. Josh, I think Ferrari needs to focus, of course, on the engine area, but if possible, they continue with these aero tricks. I love looking at them at aerospace engineer. I think you are a designated aerospace aero correspondent now on these streams. Joshua Alves. So he's hit the like button. Yeah, smash the like button, everyone. If everyone hits the like button now, we'll get to those 100 likes. Eugene, what's your result prediction regarding the new Fantet Sponsor GT3? I think you'll find they'll do very well in their class, because classes in NLS are interesting, basically. It's not as simple as it might seem. It's not just GT3. Axon, I think it's a bit unfair to tag Anthony's ants. Well, that's the way Formula 1 have done it. Where are the drivers? And we're waiting for Antonelli, or sorry, Hulkenberg. Waiting for Hulkenberg to finish his lap. Let's see, Hulkenberg goes in the top 10. He doesn't. It looks like Hulkenberg's out. So that Audi ain't making it through. The weight continues to Hulkenberg this season. Antonelli, meanwhile, would Antonelli go fastest? Yes, he does. 132.4. So advantage back to Mercedes there. Who's that behind Lando Norris? Hadjar. Let's see what Hadjar is going to set here in China. Will Hadjar consolidate? Ooh, no, doesn't consolidate. Meanwhile, Verstappen splits the McLarens. It looks like Russell may have aborted here. Russell's got nothing to gain. Yellow flag is out. Yellow flag is out in that last sector. Maybe someone went wide and kicked up some gravel. I'm not sure. That's going to really mess up laps here, because those drivers are not going to be able to go fast in the last sector. So I think we are going to see both Audis out. No one should be able really to improve here, unless they're being very naughty. Now, if anyone's really smart, they might have aborted and gone again if they have the battery. But given the way Formula 1 works, I don't think they're going to have the battery. Now the track is clear, so there was a yellow flag for a track hazard. May have been gravel. Could have been gravel there if someone went wide. But that means that's going to be our... Colapinto is going to benefit here, because Colapinto is going to go through... Oh, it's an Audi. Missed the pit entry is what happened. An Audi missed the pit entry. But keep an eye on Colapinto. Will Colapinto actually go into the top 10? No. The top 10 is as we were. So again, it's as I thought. Both Audis here, both Racing Bulls. Colapinto and Ocon. Why Colapinto and Ocon? Because their teammates are faster in terms of Gasly and Behrman. So I need to predict the lottery as well, I guess. Yeah, there was a Audi completely missed shades of Hamilton in 2007. Completely missed the pit entry. It's doing donuts on the gravel. Oh, thanks UZK for the £5 donation. Best stream out there. Everyone leave your claps in there. Best stream in the world, I've heard. That's the news that's coming in. We are award nominated, I suppose. Do put your claps in the chat there. I'm just checking some deleted laps. Yeah, Bortoletto with that 74 last sector. You can guess who was the driver in the gravel. Russell, something's not right with the car. I've got understeer. Major understeer. So Russell wasn't happy. Look at the claps coming in. We'd love to see it. So Russell was not happy there. And what happened with Bortoletto? Did Bortoletto just completely mess up the last corner? Oh yeah, he completely messed up the last corner. He wasn't intending to pit. And he's very lucky he didn't hit the barrier, although they would have been able to fix it. So, it's a very interesting accident. Oh, he did actually hit the barrier. He did tap the barrier with the left rear. Very unusual accident because he kind of just speared straight off. Thanks, Chai. I appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow as well for the race, obviously. Before that, we're going to see what happens in Q3. And then I think we're going to be back for Japan. And then there's going to be a gap. It's going to be a gap. What are all the streamers going to do? What are we going to do? Should we just stream anyway when the races were meant to be on? Lucas says Kimi pole. Could happen. Could happen. bright yellow on all of the stuff that needs to come off the Mercedes cars now. Looks like they may have been adjusting stickers on the front of George Russell's car. Maybe that's how precise they need to be. Yeah, maybe we'll do something. Maybe we'll do a maybe we can sim it in F1 Manager or something and chat. Eugene Kimi Vellicini always first. Yeah, since he moved into Formula 1. Joshua Alves, I think my favourite part of the season is seeing last season's rookies develop so much. Yeah. Look at the likes of Behrman especially. Behrman, Hadjar. Don't know about Colapinto. Lawson is struggling here. Looks like Lindblad is already Lindblad's already in that class of maybe Behrman and Hadjar, albeit didn't do so well here. But now it's going to be the top 10 shootout, and interesting where the Red Bulls are going to be. Gasly all the way up there, so Gasly doing really well this season in the Alpine, I have to say, even getting a point in Melbourne. Akash, will Q3 be within 10 minutes? Yeah, Q3 will start imminently. Q3, I wouldn't go anywhere. Make sure you've liked the stream, and then just, it's going to start very soon. Oh, there's a co-pilot advert. God. There's a pizza guy who used co-pilot and now he's just like, he's become Domino's. Gina said Gasly locking in. Yeah, but I thought you were putting Hamilton though. What about Hamilton? Lucas is not Colapinto, it's Crashapinto. Joshua, Colapinto is much rookie as Alfonso and half the skill. No shades in F-Car, and he's not. Yeah, if you saw the reactions last time out of Melbourne, it's pretty impressive. I wonder if they still run. Did they still run adverts for like traveling to Saudi and Dubai on Sky? Good to be back in China though. Grandstand's absolutely packed as they always are, and there's a front wing change for Mercedes. Okay. And by the way, this is something that we're going to see more of this season be a factor. It's not a simple change on the front wings these days because you need to make everything work with the active aero. So, front wing change. I don't know if it's just to happen and it happened during an advertising break, which would be really annoying. Okay, now who are you voting for next election? I don't know. I don't know when it is. Gasly might transfer to a better team. I kind of love to see Gasly in a Ferrari. I think that would go hard. Joshua Whit's Mercedes. It looked like Russell was. I believe it was the right side of the garage though. Not sure it was on the right side. And Flavio Briatore having some harsh words, it seems, for Colapinto, but then slapping him on the shoulder. Flavio Briatore, who's somehow simultaneously banned from Formula 1, but also running a Formula 1 team. So I just don't understand this, like Schrodinger's team principle, how that works. If anyone can explain that to me, let me know. I didn't see Russell already swap the battery. No, I didn't see that. I do know in Formula E, for example, that there is a set pool of batteries which are spec parts, and they get rotated randomly between the cars and the drivers to kind of like account for variation that will happen. Now, so given we know that's in Formula E, in Formula 1, although the teams are doing their own batteries, I understand it, there will be variation there. Yeah, it's also funny that all of these teams, the manufacturers, and like getting Audi in is all to have these like turbocharged hybrid engines. I don't know, like they've all these manufacturer branded Formula 1 and put their eggs in the hybrid basket. But it seems to be that that's not always the way that what people want to buy. People sometimes want to buy all combustion, or they want to buy all electric. But Formula One's really put itself in this middle path. These very complicated engines, hybrid electrics. Yeah, Q3 is underway, everyone. Joshua, Russell's only supposed to have 2 battery models for the whole thing. Yeah, so the interesting thing is, like, with that is, if it's a limited part like that, batteries aren't like engines. Oh, George Russell has stopped on circuit. George Russell has stopped on circuit. Maybe there's been an issue. The hazard lights are flashing. This is big news, everyone. George Russell has topped every session, really, so far. And I knew... Who's the guy that owns Manchester United? He's down in there. And presumably he's had a fiddle in the car. And he's worked his magic. And now George Russell has stopped on circuit. But it looks like he's got going again. It looks like he's got going under his own steam. Maybe what's happened there with Russell? Maybe he's just taking all precaution. Maybe he saw something unusual. Like, I'm going to come to a stop. And it's all precaution. I'm trying to look at this. It doesn't look like... It looks like there's some sort of error, though, potentially on the rev bar. Because might be getting it wrong, but it looks like the rev bar is constantly flashing, but we'll see. Let's see what happens with Russell. Keep an eye on the speed there. But yeah, Kimi Antonelli here might be up with some big points. Because Antonelli's about to start his lap. Looks like Russell is going very, very, very slowly. Not sure that's the place he'd want to slow down. It'd be easier to slow down on the straight, to be honest. So this could be a big problem for George Russell here. Is anyone disappointed? How do people feel about this in chat? Could we see a Hamilton pole now? Dark Cloud says reboot it. That essentially might be what happened. Juna says Kimi or Leclerc pole now. Vibrat Kireth constantly flexing his steering wheel. I know. Michael says happy. Right, let's see Anthony over the line. What's it going to be? 24 point dead in first sector is very quick. 32.3. The lap times go down and down and down. So is George Russell going to start a lap here, or is he going to box? I would imagine he's going to box here. I would imagine he's going to box. I'd be very surprised if Russell hasn't boxed. I don't know what George Russell is doing right now. Russell's gone rogue. Stay on Russell's gone rogue. George Russell, what is he doing then? He's just going to keep trying to drive round. I'll try and get a confirmation on that. Meanwhile, the Ferraris have set their laps. 32.6. Russell did pit. 32.6 for Leclerc. 33 dead for Hamilton. Hamilton's first sector was pretty quick as well, actually. So it looks like Hamilton maybe could do this. Chai says gear issues for Russell, unable or much difficult switching gears. Blacker says maybe we now know what Hamilton was doing around the Mercedes. Well, reliability issues here. Chai says he was stuck in first gear. Okay, so stuck in first gear. So they will be able to sort that out in the garage. Time is running out though. Did Hamilton have a mistake somewhere? I said the first sector was very good. Oh, he had a little bit of a slide there. He had a few slides. Tell you what, that Ferrari looks really nicely balanced. Even when Hamilton slides it, it looks really poised. Not poised. It doesn't look planted. It looks nicely balanced. It looks like it has a nice pivot point. I think Leclerc might have also had a moment. Yeah, Hamilton's car actually looks a bit more oversteery than Leclerc's, but I think that's like Hamilton likes it. Timor says P1 Russell, P2 Hamilton. By the way, the McLarens have gone over 32.5 for Piastri, 32.6 for Norris. So pretty decent laps on the McLarens there. And keep an eye on George Russell maybe coming out of pits as well. They'll do a different program now. He'll just probably have the 1 lap. They might not risk it with 2. We'll see. Verstappen, meanwhile, and Hadjar have done their laps, 33.3, 33.3 for both of them. That's a second off, so that's very, very, very slow. Extremely slow. But, interesting story here, leaving aside George Russell, is the McLarens have gone faster than the Ferraris. What's the breakfast? I might go to Wetherspoons. I might have a Wetherspoons breakfast. £3.60. Yeah, let's see what happens. I mean, Antonelli had a very crazy qualifying session in Melbourne and still went P2. But this is advantage Antonelli here. This is why it's great for Mercedes. They've got 2 serious drivers who can both drive the car. Vibrance Russell might be up with a comeback. Yeah, they've got an experienced engineer at the front of Mercedes who's very calmly running people through a procedure with the world's cameras on him. So, pressure time for Mercedes here. Joshua says Ferrari hasn't built the car. This is coming in from the aero expert. Ferrari hasn't built the car for one situation. Example, their wing creates both drag and lift, which cancel each other out and keeps the car stable under braking when the wing is normal. Could that be also be why the car's so nicely balanced there? So Hadjar and Verstappen will be coming into the pits here. And then we'll see what happens with the final runs. Michael, what a boss leading the Mercedes garage. Yeah, that's when the pressure tells you, got to have leaders step up calmly. I can't remember who we saw that with, who I was impressed with. I was doing a live stream. Oh yeah, we're doing the Motor America live stream, and Joshua Hayes in the Daytona 200 had a terrible pit stop where his team couldn't take the front wheel off the bike. Maybe the caliper was warped or something, I'm not sure. But he was very calm. He was standing there very calm. Very supportive, very calm. He wasn't throwing his toys up. He wasn't doing body language like, you know, oh, my team's throwing me under the bus here. He was super calm. And then when they did get it on, he very calmly jumped on the bike, got going, and he finished in the top 10. And I thought that was good leadership. Someone's running to the back of the Mercedes garage. It's chaos now. It's chaos in the garage. There's a new steering wheel. This is almost going to get done here because I'm showing you exactly what's happening. A new steering wheel for Russell has gone in. Hamilton said to have issues with the back car. Yeah, it looks like the back end of Hamilton's car is moving around. For me, like if Verstappen's driving that car, he's going to love it because it looks like you can really rotate it. Joshua, absolutely, the aero on the Mercedes needs to be set up for efficiency but not for pure downforce, since they know the engine is strong enough and their chassis carries them without needing high downforce. So Ferrari, as they bring more engine power online, so they continue to spend their tokens throughout the course of the season, might be able to maximise the platform they've built with the chassis and aero. 5-minute edit wants to see the wheel again. Here it is. So there was an issue, but they've swapped it out. Russell's got a new one in. Chai, if Antonelli gets pole, he's the youngest driver to get pole ever, beating Vettel in 2008. That's crazy. That's a crazy stat. I mean, that's what a stat that is. We think of Antonelli kind of... I think sometimes we don't give Antonelli enough credit for being so young and driving his car so well. Right. Is everything going to happen at Mercedes? I'm not sure. It's going to be pretty embarrassing if it doesn't. Let's see. To be honest, even if it doesn't happen, Russell's going to start P10 and you would still expect him to, if they fix this, whoa, be there or thereabouts in the race tomorrow, or get up there quickly like Verstappen did in Melbourne. Bobby says Ant is back. Ant is out on circuit. Ant going early. Maybe they want to get him out there to clear the garage for work done on George's car. Are we going to see Russell leave the pits? That's the question. They won't want to risk damaging the gearbox and stuff. Tyres are on the car, but that's a separate... If you were doing a Gantt chart, that'd be a separate thing. I'm not sure they're going to be able to fix this, to be honest. Gina says need that Ferrari 1-2 now. Let's see then. Let's see. Antonelli starts his final flying lap. So if you're here, make sure you hit the like button. Where is it? Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button as well. We're going to be back tomorrow for the race. But let's see what happens here. Oh, Russell is out. Russell is out. Russell is out. Imagine if Russell gets pole here. You can in your face imagine the pictures as he does the interview. So George Russell is out. A lot of bravery there to drive that car, because if that locks in first gear somewhere, you have a huge accident. What will be the latest driver gets to do a lap from the pits? Tell you what, Russell's going to have to really step on this. Russell's not going to have a lot of margin. He's going to really... Russell's qualifying lap is going to be compromised, and that's on the basis that everything is working. Because if there's an error, they might be like, we're going to abort it. But he's going to... His state of charge on the battery is going to be interesting, because you're going to have to do a completely different program here on the outlap. Now, that said, it looks like he's going to get there comfortably. So he's got a minute to get over the line. Meanwhile, Antonelli is going to finish his laps. Let's see if Antonelli improves. 132.3. Yes, he does. 132 dead. That is party mode for show. 32 point dead for Antonelli. What about Lando? Look at Sector 1 from Lando, though. Sector 1 from Lando's pre-taste. Surely we'll go P2 here. Surely. No, he doesn't improve. Must be a slow last sector. And what about Charles Leclerc? Charles Leclerc with the fastest second sector. Charles Leclerc goes P2, 132.4. 4 tenths off Antonelli, but goes P2. Remember, they got the small turbo on the Ferrari. And meanwhile, Hamilton goes faster than Leclerc. This could be hammer time season then, because we know Leclerc is such a great qualifier, but Hamilton that qualifies him. Meanwhile, Gasly goes P6 ahead of the Red Bulls at the moment. What's Behrman going to say about that? Behrman goes over the line. And goes P7, is also ahead of the Red Bulls. Meanwhile, Piastri is P4 at the moment, does not improve. So the McLarens are going to stay as they were. What's Hadjar saying? Hadjar's going to be well off it. Yeah, P7 for Hadjar. Does go faster than Behrman. And now it's time for Verstappen. Verstappen much slower than Gasly. Yeah, much slower than Gasly, relatively speaking. So the last driver I want to keep an eye on here is George Russell. 24 dead Sector 1, 27.7 Sector 2. He won't get a slipstream down the back straight. Of course, says who's washed now? Is it Charles Leclerc? Is Leclerc washed? That's a big lap from Hamilton to out-qualify Charles Leclerc. I don't think that can be understated. This looks like it is going to be a great season from Sir Lewis Hamilton, potentially. So Russell sprinkled in some purples in there. Is it enough? I'm not sure. However, will he go P2? If he goes P2 here, it'll be the second time that a Mercedes car has had big issues in qualifying and still gone P2. He does go P2, 132.2. That means Antonelli, if our stats are correct in chat, is now the youngest ever pole sitter in Formula 1. And I think he deserves more credit for that. I think Antonelli deserves a massive amount of credit. That is huge from Antonelli. And could be huge for the race as well, because if Antonelli wins this race and Russell's second, then he won't be leading the championship because Antonelli didn't have a good sprint race like Russell, but it'll be pretty close. And I, for one, would love to see a Kimi versus George battle this season. There we go. Eden called it the youngest pole sitter. Gina Kimi, look at the claps coming in. Congrats Antonelli on his record. Thunderbolt supporting Kimi as well, and Eden saying, yeah, Gasly out-qualify the two Red Bulls. The Red Bulls here are over a second off, well, actually about a second off the Mercedes, and the Mercedes mechanics having to... This is the ominous thing about Mercedes. The mechanics have also done incredible work in Melbourne and here. So it's not just that the car's quick. It's not just that the drivers are quick. It's also the case that the team is on it, and they got the strategy right in Melbourne as well. Now, can Ferrari match them on car? Not quite. Can Ferrari match them on drivers? We think so. Can Ferrari match them on mechanics? We don't know. Can Ferrari match them on strategy? It doesn't seem so. So that's an interesting four-factored battle between Mercedes and Ferrari this season. Shows the correct order: Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren. Yeah, there we go. To be fair, that is what I called at the beginning. I think I've called every part of qualifying right here. This is a rare occurrence. Gina got Merckx 1-2 and Hamilton podium, very happy. Yeah. Not strictly a podium, but I'm sure Hamilton will congratulate Kimi. Not strictly a podium, but Hamilton looking good. And given the way the turbos work and the fairly long run down into turn 1, we could see the Ferraris. That might be this might be mission accomplished for the Ferraris. Lock out that second row. One goes left, one goes right, and I'll be first and second going into turn 1 tomorrow. Joshua says Mercedes is the best one F1 team for sure. I'm a Tifosi, but even with a 2/10 base advantage, yeah, you got to have something in hand against Mercedes because they're just a ruthless outfit. Peter Boddington has got another steed now. Lucas, I told you, Anthony Pole. People were saying Anthony Pole. I did see it. People were saying Anthony Pole. Michael claps Toto 2, took the gamble, put him in early. Yeah, claps for Toto for putting in Kimi. Claps for Toto for putting in Kimi. And Kimi comes into this season with a little bit of experience under his belt. And I wonder how George Russell will take this. It's going to be very interesting to see how George Russell takes this. He could be magnanimous and say the team did a great job. Or he could throw toys out the pram and say we need to be better than this. That's unacceptable. We need to find out what went wrong. So I wonder which way Russell will take it. If I was Russell, I'd be very happy to get that P2. Think of the big picture. But let's see. Russell thinks it's his destiny to get pole position and such. He might think differently. And Piastri out qualifying Lando. An interesting story there as well. Hamilton out qualifying. Almost you could say what we think of for second drivers there, out qualifying the main drivers. If you do think of Leclerc as a main driver at Ferrari, but you wouldn't be wrong thinking that given what happened last year. Verstappen out qualifying Hadjar, but it's pretty close. It's actually very close between all of the drivers in all of those teams. Gina, I hope we see Hamilton batting both Mercedes tomorrow. I believe the Ferrari starts. What about the Ferrari Macarena wing? It seems like they're testing it. Maybe it was a decoy. Maybe it shows that they do have stuff up their sleeve. Up their sleeve. Right, everyone. So I guess an interesting quality because of what happened to Russell. However, if we're honest, the order is kind of what we expected. Maybe with some of the team, Hamilton had Leclerc, Anthony had a Russell, but the order is pretty much what we would have expected. So let's go into tomorrow and see what the Ferraris can do. Because again, we still got if you want to see, if you don't want to see a team dominant season, at this moment in time, you can still have legitimate hope that there's going to be a battle this season. But we'll see. Right, I'm going to go to the pub and get some breakfast. I'm going to try and go to bed early today. Because I don't know why my strategy was poor for this one. So I'll schedule that stream. If you don't mind when it goes up, jump in there and give it a little like, give it a little comment as I see you do. And I'll see you tomorrow for the race, which will be an hour earlier, won't it? So that will be at 6 AM. So the stream will start at 5. So we'll be up at 5 AM. We'll go for another breakfast afterwards. When does the sprint race? It was in the past, my friend. Thanks, Gina. Thanks, Pete. Thanks, Raman. Yeah, exactly. Thanks, New Gen. Yanis, Svetel, Chaya, Vlatka, Michael. Good to see all of the familiar crowd in here. It's really good. And yeah, it's because of you guys that these streams are so entertaining. We follow these stories. So it's just the start of the season. I'll see you tomorrow.